Welcome to the lecture on globalization and online journalism. This lecture is part of a paper on media and globalization. In this lecture, you will learn about the emergence of online journalism and its impact on traditional media. The lecture will also help you to understand the emerging trends in online journalism and how it is contributing towards strengthening of globalization. Introduction. News media has changed considerably over the last few years across the world. Reading and viewing habits of people have also changed across all age groups. Many newspapers have shut their shops. TV newsrooms have witnessed firings as never before. Amidst all this, online journalism is growing at a very fast pace. Many blame news media for this disruption in news media landscape. A new media ecology has emerged all over the world. The content developed is not only for the target audience limited to a particular geographical area, but it is for the global audience. Media too was earlier considered as one of the factors for globalization, but its reach was very limited. New media has broken these boundaries. New media has broken these boundaries, and the flow of content has been made possible due to the emergence of new technologies. Few aberrations are still there, where the flow of news content is not that smooth because of the restrictions imposed by certain countries. Let us now talk about online journalism. Terms like online journalism, convergence journalism, cross journalism, multimedia journalism are all used interchangeably to describe the new kind of journalism that has evolved in the age of internet. What makes online journalism different from traditional journalism is the technology. While the basic principles of journalism remain the same, the technology offers an array of opportunities to the journalists to connect with the world. Online journalism, a historical perspective. In India, The Hindu was the first newspaper to start its own website in 1995. Most of the newspapers thereafter built their own websites to connect with the people who had access to the internet. In 2007, Malayala Manorama became the first regional newspaper to establish its presence in digital media by launching its mobile app. Newspapers like the Times of India, the Hindustan Times, the Hindu, and the Indian Express joined Twitter in 2009 and 10. In 2012, the Times of India forayed into augmented reality by launching its Alive app. The app allows user to scan any picture or graphic and then take them to the relevant multimedia content. In 2013, mobile media apps became very popular. One app that emerged as a leader was called InShorts. The app was an instant success and was based on the premise that people would like to consume messages quickly. Hence, the news is constructed in such a way that it delivers the entire story in a few words. To make their content easily accessible through search engines, many media outlets forayed into search engine optimization or SEO and digital marketing. Social media marketing became as important as the content. Media houses trained their staff or hired digital marketing agencies just to be there on the first search engine result page and to get more clicks and more traffic. In 2016, lots of experiments were done in the ways news is being told. A number of digital tools were explored that allowed development of stories in different ways. This was the year of immersive storytelling. Malayala Manorama online started offering 360-degree videos. Digital media and television. With the increase in internet connectivity and availability of cheap smartphones, there is an explosion of online videos. Anyone who has access to technology and internet-enabled phones also has the opportunity to create and disseminate videos. One can also do something which was unheard of till few years back, which is that they can create their own video channels depending on one's interest. YouTube is full of channels on DIYs, politics, news, entertainment, travel, food, and so on. The reach of many of these channels is much more than that of a traditional TV channel. The last few years witnessed massive growth in the number of videos created and uploaded. In addition to internet connectivity and cheap smartphones, this was made possible by new digital tools that allow creating and editing videos on the go. Most of the social networking websites like Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter integrated these tools so that anyone can create and disseminate these videos for the 42% of the world's population that is connected with the internet. Some of the emerging trends that we are witnessing nowadays are immersive storytelling or 360-degree videos, video selfies, and so on. The Quint, an online news platform, roped in a senior journalist to cover 2017 state elections in Uttar Pradesh for new media journalism, where she used video selfies and Facebook Live among other tools to extensively cover the elections. Also, the New York Times announced its launch on Snapchat Discover Forum in 2017. The idea was to reach 41% of all 18 to 34-year-olds in the US as they were using Snapchat. In comparison, an average individual US TV network reaches 6% of the same demographic. The above examples of the Quint and the New York Times show how new technology is shaping the way media messages are constructed. TV no longer has the monopoly over videos, as even online newspapers host videos on their portal. Digital media and radio. Keeping in view the increase in internet penetration and growth of smartphone segments in India, traditional broadcast radio channels have taken their stations online, and there are companies that run internet-based radio service. Let us now move on to see some characteristics of online journalism. In the last decade, there has been a massive growth in the popularity of online journalism world over. In fact, online journalism is seen as a threat to the legacy media. Wherever there is a decline in newspapers' readership, online journalism has been quoted as one of the major reasons. In order to understand the reasons behind the success of online journalism, let us move on to look at some of the characteristics that make digital media a very popular platform. The first and most important characteristic is interactivity. It distinguishes online from traditional form of journalism. It allows people to rate, share, like, and comment on any story or article. There is a shift from limited interactivity, which traditional media offered earlier in the form of letters to the editor or the feedback programs on TV and radio, to unlimited interactivity in the present age. This interactivity not only allows people to respond or react to the messages constructed by the media houses, but it also turns consumer into a producer, wherein people are not just consuming media messages, but they are also constructing media messages. This feature has turned passive consumers into active producers. Most of the news portals nowadays are offering opportunities to the users to interact with the content, in case of interactive stories, interact with the producers of the content, and are also providing space for user-generated content. I Report for CNN is an example of how mainstream media encourages its audience to interact with the platform. Here, the interaction is not just by writing comments or rating stories done by CNN, but I Report for CNN is an interactive, international, monthly, half-hour TV program showcasing the most newsworthy and informative I Report contributions and citizen journalism reports on the internet. Besides sending it to the platform, citizens can post it on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter with the hashtag CNN I Report. The second characteristic worth looking is convergence. Online journalism makes the merging of various mass communication formats like print, television, and radio possible. On the internet, every medium resides next to another. One can listen to an audio interview, watch the event happening, and read the story at the same time. Journalists are using one medium to tell one aspect of the story and another medium to tell another. For example, a story on demonetization in India might use an explainer video to explain demonetization, photographs to tell how it is being implemented, text to analyze the initiative, and audio for interviews with the citizens. All these elements could be combined to tell a story on demonetization. This is also known as multimedia journalism. In this case, each media element is an important part of the story. Multimedia reporting most of the time is confused with parallel reporting. In parallel reporting, 2 or 3 journalists cover a story for print, video, or audio. In such cases, these stories are independent of each other, as they are separate stories told by different journalists. Even if it is uploaded on the website, the only thing they have in common is the subject. Otherwise, stories are different. In multimedia journalism, various media elements are weaved in the story according to the requirement of the story. There are a number of digital tools which can help journalists to write multimedia stories. Some examples of multimedia stories can be seen at the link shown on your screen. The third characteristic that we would talk about is immediacy. It is another important characteristic of online journalism. While in radio and television, only one thing can be shown at one time, and to show another, the previous one has to be interrupted. On websites, one can have multiple stories, and the same can be updated as events happen. A single story can post a number of updates on one story. Social networking sites, by introducing live broadcasts, have changed the game altogether. Traditional media houses as well as locals can broadcast any event live. The broadcast feature, though, offers a lot of opportunities with just a smartphone in hand. No other paraphernalia is required. But at the same time, the use of this feature has drawn a lot of criticism. For example, the live stream of Iraqi and Kurdish forces advancing on Mosul drew a lot of criticism. So what are we to make of Mosul as Kurds and Iraqis advanced on the city via 24/7 streaming on Facebook Live from Al Jazeera, Channel 4 News, and a Kurdish agency? Do we want an emoji on every blast of destruction? Like the carnage, and is this some sort of macabre computer game? Says Peter Preston, a columnist with The Guardian. He was saying so about the Channel 4 News Facebook account and its live streaming of the military operation. Another new trend, along with live broadcast, is the feature of 360 videos by live broadcast apps like Periscope. So it is not just short live, but with 360 video on Periscope, one can experience moments with the broadcaster and take a look around. It's one step closer to actually being there. The fourth characteristic that we would talk about is archiving. Another characteristic that differentiates online journalism with the traditional form of journalism is its inherent capacity to archive news stories, videos, audios, and infographics. The shelf life of news, which used to be very limited, has increased tremendously with all sorts of content lying in different shelves of the website. One can visit that content anytime. The tags and keywords act as keys to those shelves. For example, an article on demonetization can be accessed by typing a search query in the search box. If the article is given a tag like demonetization, Indian economy, etc., it will be easy to retrieve that article from the repository full of millions of articles. So it is important to have well archived websites, but at the same time, it should be well searchable. Archiving can also help writers to provide important context to what they are presently writing and can be an excellent resource for research. For readers, it provides opportunity for non-linear consumption of content. They can create their own stories by reading different pieces written by different writers and at different times. The fifth characteristic worth looking is linkages. Archiving and information available on the web makes linkages possible. It is easy to link articles to something which was written earlier or with the article on the same subject written by someone else. Linkages provide depth to the story. In online journalism, for any story the amount of space is limited. So is the case in print, TV and radio where there is limited space and time. While in legacy media, the challenge is to tell the entire story in the limited time and space allocated, the online media overcomes this challenge by providing links to other material which is relevant to the story. It could be an article in the same website, or it could be some report lying outside the website. While linkage broadens the scope of the story and multiple angles can be explored at a time, it also poses a challenge of losing a reader to some other website or content. It becomes very difficult to bring readers back to the site once they are navigated out of the website to look for some other content. Therefore, it is important to use linkage strategically in any story. Globalization and online journalism. 42% of the population of the world is connected with the internet. This means more interconnectedness and more exchange amongst people from different countries. It has a great impact on culture, politics and economy. Internet has also changed the way journalism is done. There is a shift from dominance of few media conglomerates to the user-generated content. Anyone who is connected with the internet can be a producer of media messages. Access to a good quality phone coupled with the internet can turn anyone into a producer. While this is a boon for those who always wanted to create and share but were never able to do so in the absence of infrastructure, it is also a challenge for the news organizations. Since people are more connected with each other than ever in the past, they are more interested to know what is happening in the world. When social media is abuzz with certain kinds of information, the expectation from the news media increases to cover that event. People, in fact, have started setting agenda for news organizations. Trending topics on social media fill the front pages and find a space in primetime slots. Photographs of Aylan Kurdi, a Syrian toddler who was drowned and washed up to the seashore in Turkey, while his family was on their way to Greece from Turkey using a rubber raft, went viral on social media. The picture, which was clicked by Nilüfer Demir after being published in the newspapers, went viral on social media and raised awareness about the migrant crisis across the world, and also acted as a catalyst to initiate a discussion on ending the war in Syria. Online journalism has no boundaries, and it is through the content that appeals to the international audience that a global discourse on pressing issues like environment, education, etc. is being initiated. Let us now look at a few emerging trends in online journalism. The first trend that we would look at is data-driven journalism. Data journalism, big data, data analytics are buzzwords of the time we live in. Data is being used by media houses to tell stories. Open data movement has made it easier for communicators and journalists to access and use data. Many countries are releasing their data as open data so that it can be used by the public for various purposes. In India, www.data.gov.in website hosts data from all the ministries and departments. The website data.gov.in is the result of the National Data Sharing and Accessibility Policy (NDSAP), which was notified by the Government of India in March 2012 to promote a culture of data sharing and data utility for a larger socio-economic goal. Adhering to the norms laid out by this policy, the National Informatics Center (NIC) has set up Open Government Data or OGD Platform India, which is a state-of-the-art dynamic data sharing platform espousing the principles of open government data. The portal has many rich features to support this policy, which are as follows: search and discovery mechanism for instant access to various data sets of importance, community engagement around published data sets for innovative applications on open data with an ability to provide customized citizen services. Tools, apps and visualizations so developed by using this platform have played a pivotal role in increasing the level of transparency and citizens' participation in the governance process. Dataportals.org is the most comprehensive list of open data portals in the world. It is curated by a group of leading open data experts from around the world, including representatives from local, regional and national governments, international organizations such as the World Bank and numerous NGOs. The data available on these platforms are freely available for the researchers to work on. According to David Anderton, a freelance journalist, data journalism is bridging the gap between statisticians and wordsmiths. Data journalism is about using sheer scale and range of digital information to tell compelling stories. The focus in data journalism is not on what happened, but it is on what a particular development means. There are a number of digital tools which are available to work on database stories. Some of the tools are as follows: Google Fusion Table, Lucid Chart, Silk Infogram, PictoChart, Tableau and Carto. The second one is digital stories. Digital stories are a new way of storytelling. It means telling stories by using computer-based tools. They are also known as digital documentaries, computer-based narratives, digital essays, electronic memoirs, and interactive storytelling. They all revolve around the idea of combining the art of telling stories with a variety of multimedia, including graphics, audio, video, and web publishing. The durations of digital stories are shorter, that is from 2 to 5 minutes. Some of the tools which are used to tell digital stories are Powtoon, Movely, vVideo. Third is mapping in journalism. Where is an important element of the 5 Ws and 1 H in journalism. It not only describes the place where an event took place, but can tell a great deal about the story. The geography, culture, politics and economics has to do a lot with any event occurring at a particular place. So if it is a news about Nepal earthquake, the geographical features of that place become important. And if it is news related to Arab Spring, the political environment of those countries in the Middle East becomes important. A few years back, the name of the place in the story was enough, or 1 or 2 shots of the location were adequate. Today, we are at a time when digital savvy readers prefer to have immersive experience. How about feeling the place, exploring more than what one shot offers, navigating from one place to another or visiting different locations to find out more information? Won't it be interesting and enriching to be a part of the scene and experience the fun, excitement, horror and pain accompanied with the story? With live broadcasts and geographical tagging, there is a lot of information being generated from different locations. This information generated from various websites can be an excellent resource for the journalists. Putting the information together and converting into a story can be a challenging task. Mapping can be a powerful storytelling tool, which journalists can use to take their audience on a journey following a narrative storyline, or to illustrate and make sense of fast-moving breaking news events. Mapping places and live broadcasts are emerging trends, and to add to this is the latest feature of 360 video by live broadcast apps like Periscope. So it is not just short live, but with 360 video on Periscope, one can experience moments with the broadcasters and take a look around. It is one step closer to actually being there. The new technologies have made both generation as well as storage of data possible. There is lots of data that are based on locations. According to Gustavo Falerios, a data journalist and media trainer, most data sets contain location-related information that makes them good candidates for mapping. Maps are also a great tool for allowing user interaction and just a great way to tell stories. There are hundreds of tools available to create maps. The learning curve for these tools are also varied. There are tools that can be learned easily, and there are some with steep learning curves. To get started, Google Maps is the easiest option. One can start by mapping schools, colleges, or the places to visit or places visited to begin with. How to create your own map? Step 1 is to visit Google Maps and click on the menu. Step 2, in menu click your places, and step 3 is to create maps. To know more on how to create maps, watch Mapping for Journalism by going on the link shown on your screen. Other tools for mapping are Google Fusion Table, Story Map, Carto, and Infogram. Conclusion. Let us now quickly sum up what we have learned in this lecture. In the present lecture, we have discussed about the emergence of online journalism and its impact on traditional media. We also discussed the emerging trends in online journalism and how it is contributing towards globalization. We discussed about open data and how the data from different parts of the world can be collated to create a data-based story. Further, we looked at some of the emerging trends and newest technologies that are being employed for a new kind of journalism. You are advised to read the module carefully to understand the concept of online journalism and also do the activities as mentioned in the module and in the lecture to develop new skills. For further study, do go through the extended reading list provided with the lecture and attempt all the questions given with the e-text. Thank you.